Hello everybody, welcome to today's TED Talk. Today we'll be talking about a story of how Jewish refugees sought out citizenship and freedom, taking a voyage into the Western world. This took place in the middle of May, specifically May 13th, 1939. And in this time period, it was a lot of the European cities and countries were taken over by Adolf Hitler's tyranny. That he was an authority, and with this specific culture, the Jews, they were persecuted, harassed, and politically discriminated. This took a toll on a lot of them, and they were even put into concentration camps. Their will of freedom, their own human right, was completely stripped away from them. And this group of about 900 plus Jewish citizens, they took advantage and took on the opportunity and took a voyage into the Western world. There was a lot of joy and hope that stirred within them, believing that they would one day be free, but they were sadly mistaken. That it was on May 13th, 1939 that they took a trip through the SS St. Louis, and they arrived in Cuba, in Havana. And as they approached the immigration authorities with their papers, with their visas, they denied them. And you could be thinking, man, like if they had purchased and gone through the entire process of becoming a legal citizen, why would such a thing happen? And through that denial, there was no chance of them going through Cuban territory to being free. So they adjusted their voyage. They passed Cuba, went up north into United States territory, seeking to maybe find freedom there. And it was even there that the immigration authorities there denied them. They went through Canada, denied. And the number one thing that they wanted to avoid was being stuck in their past, where they were persecuted, where they were discriminated, where they were divided, where their own human rights were taken away from them. Even though that was the number one thing that they wanted to avoid, that was the very thing that they needed to do, because they couldn't stay out in the middle of nowhere for so and so amount of weeks, months, or years, because there was very limited resources, food, shelter, clothes. So they ended up having to go back. And in the process of going back, it was recorded that 254 of the passengers that were on that boat, that going back to Europe, going back to face the Nazis, the tyranny of Adolf Hitler, that 254 of the passengers took their own lives due to the trauma of their past, what they had experienced, what their families had experienced, the built-up fear, depression, lostness, and confusion, that they weren't willing to go through it, but completely cut it off at that very moment. And even though this was a huge traumatic experience for this culture, there was some goodness that came out of it. In one of the articles on BBC, it says, in the end, the ship's passengers did not have to go back to Nazi Germany. Instead, Belgium, France, Holland, and the UK agreed to take the refugees. That it was these countries within Europe, within this tough point, that they were willing to open their arms and receive these people. And to take another note of one of the goods that came out of this historical moment, that the Jewish Joint Distribution Committee was started. That it's this committee that rescued Jews in danger, people like this, that they were able to provide aid to vulnerable Jews, develop innovative solutions to Israel's most complex social challenges, and cultivate a Jewish future, and lead the Jewish community's responses to crisis. That even though something so huge, something so bad and hurting and painful, and not being able to see the light in the midst of darkness. That there was good out of this. Fellow countries were willing to open their arms and receive, and to pursue to make this worldwide. A committee to help provide aid for this vulnerable culture during this time was willing to help and provide. And so this is my TED Talk of the SS St. Louis Voyage. Thank you.